Netflix just ghosting the Paramount bid is the best corporate plot twist we have seen all year.
You are way too easily distracted by Hollywood drama. Who cares about Zaslav's golden parachute when Pharma just dropped $47 billion in a single quarter?
Oh, come on. Antitrust lawyers sharpening their knives for Warner Brothers is objectively funnier than Merck buying another biotech.
Tell that to Novartis and their $53 billion in dry powder. The feeding frenzy is literally just starting. Before sad. The rundown.
$44.8 billion for spices. I mean, my pantry is mostly McCormick, but that is a massive check for Unilever to write.
It is huge. They are basically ripping out their entire food arm and mashing it together with the spice rack. But I read the synergy projections this morning, and they are stretching. You do not just magically sell more mayonnaise because you also own paprika.
Oh, come on. The cross-merchandising is obvious. It is a grocery aisle monopoly play. You control the flavor, you control the cart.
Well, we will see if the regulators agree with your grocery aisle monopoly theory. I am keeping a very close eye on the regulatory dockets tomorrow for the early antitrust filings. This tie-up is going to get heavily scrutinized.
Speaking of controlling the cart, Danone just dropped 1 billion euros on Huel.
Wait, really? The Tech Bro meal replacement sludge?
The very same. 1 billion euros for liquid protein. Danone wants that nutritional footprint, apparently.
I have flashbacks to my early tech reporting days just hearing the word Huel. Exiting to a French dairy giant was definitely not on my bingo card.
We also saw GIP and EQT teaming up to take out AES Corp. $33.4 billion. Classic infrastructure mega deal. You have two massive funds pooling capital because the equity check is just too big for one balance sheet. It is beautiful, really.
Beautiful? It is a risk-sharing necessity, Nate. They are terrified of the debt load. If you look at the financing terms, they are practically building a fortress around the interest coverage ratio. They are not teaming up because they want to share the upside. They are teaming up because they are scared of the downside.
That is literally what risk mitigation is. You sound like a distressed debt analyst today.
Somebody has to actually read the term sheets before buying the narrative.
Fair. What else? Molson Coors officially swallowed Atomic Brands, maker of Monaco cocktails.
The ready-to-drink wars continue.
And Gilead dropped $2.2 billion on Ouro Medicines, another T-cell engager play for autoimmune diseases.
Which perfectly sets up our main story. $2.2 billion feels like couch change right now compared to what the rest of the pharma sector is doing.
Right. Q1 Pharma, M&A just hit $47 billion. And with Novartis and AbbVie sitting on a combined $86 billion in dry powder, the Binge is just getting started. I want to talk about who they are targeting next. The big one.
$47 billion in exactly one quarter. Just think about that number.
I'm thinking about it. My old banker buddies are probably popping champagne on a Tuesday. The advisory fees alone on this Q1 Pharma Binge could fund a small country.
But look at what they're actually buying. It's not just the volume, it's the sheer desperation in the premiums. Merck dropping $6.7 billion for Terns Pharmaceuticals. Eli Lilly right behind them with $6.3 billion for Centessa.
Desperation is a strong word, Maya. I call it survival. They've got massive patent cliffs coming. You either buy the pipeline or you slowly bleed out. Lilly scooping up Centessa is a classic, smart, defensive move.
Defensive? Nate, they're paying a massive premium for clinical stage assets. Centessa doesn't even have commercial revenue yet. It's a massive gamble masquerading as strategy.
Oh, come on. It's not a gamble. When you have Lilly's balance sheet, it's an option play. You're looking at the price tag like it's a retail purchase. To these guys, $6 billion is just the cost of staying relevant.
An option play? I read the Centessa SEC filings last night. The timeline on their orexin agonist program is years out. Lilly is essentially paying $6.3 billion for a lottery ticket that might, maybe, clear FDA hurdles by 2029.
Fine, but what's the alternative? Just sit on the cash. The equity markets will punish you for that. Look at the BMO Capital Markets note that dropped this morning. They flagged Novartis sitting on $53 billion in deal capacity. AbbVie has $33.6 billion. If they don't spend it, activist investors will start knocking on the door.
Actually, BMO's note is exactly why I'm skeptical. When you have that much dry powder, you do stupid things. You buy companies like Terns for $6.7 billion just because your competitor bought Centessa. It's FOMO. Corporate FOMO at the highest level.
The former banker in me is deeply offended by the term corporate FOMO. We prefer to call it strategic herd mentality.
Same thing, just billed at $2,000 an hour. And let's not forget Gilead sneaking in there while the giants were fighting. $2.2 billion for Ouro Medicines.
The T-cell engager program. Now that one is actually fascinating. Autoimmune is the new oncology. Everyone is pivoting there because the pricing power is incredible.
It's a smart pivot, I'll give you that. But again, the valuations are completely detached from near-term reality. I want to see the clinical trial data before we crown anyone the winner of Q1.
You'll be waiting a while for that data. The real story here is who moves next. If Novartis decides to drop that $53 billion, we're going to see a complete realignment of the market.
Assuming the antitrust regulators don't suddenly decide pharma is their new favorite punching bag. Though lately, they seem entirely distracted by the media sector.
You mean the absolute circus happening with the Paramount and Warner Brothers mega merger?
Exactly. Because if you think pharma valuations are detached from reality, wait until you see the massive payout David Zaslav is reportedly trying to pack. Voices.
I am looking right now at this note from BMO Capital Markets, and honestly, the numbers are just stupid.
You mean the pharma dry powder? Because I read that same note. Novartis sitting on $53 billion in deal capacity, and AbbVie with $33.6 billion.
Exactly. We already saw $47 billion spent in Q1, but BMO is basically saying the feeding frenzy has not even started. If you have $50 billion burning a hole in your pocket, you are not buying tiny biotechs. You are hunting elephants.
I completely disagree. Look at what actually happened in Q1. Merck bought Terns for $6.7 billion. Lilly bought Centessa for $6.3 billion. These giants do not want the antitrust headache of a mega merger right now. They want bolt-on pipeline plays.
Sure, but a string of pearls only gets you so far when you have massive patent cliffs coming. At some point, Novartis is going to swing for the fences.
They will swing for the fences by buying 10 different $5 billion companies. Nobody wants to be the next Paramount-Warner Bros. Right now.
Oh man, the antitrust experts are circling that one like sharks. Real threats to the mega merger, they are saying, which is hilarious because David Zaslav is reportedly still in line for a massive payout, regardless of how miserable that regulatory road gets.
The Zaslav golden parachute is basically a law of physics at this point. But the part of that media drama that actually surprised me was Netflix.
Netflix abruptly pulling out of the bidding?
Yes, they just walked away from the table, leaving Skydance to ultimately win the Warner Brothers Discovery bid. Which tells me Netflix looked at the legacy financials, looked at the regulatory risk, and just said no thank you.
Smart move. Why buy a dying linear TV business when you already won the streaming wars?
Exactly. Speaking of antitrust headaches, though, we need to talk about what is hitting the regulatory dockets tomorrow morning. Spill the tea.
I just cannot get past the optics of David Zaslav lining up this massive payout, while antitrust lawyers are practically sharpening their pitchforks outside his office.
Well, antitrust experts are calling the Paramount and Warner Brothers merger a real threat. But let us be honest, Zaslav is not looking at the regulatory timeline. He is looking at the change in control clauses in his employment agreement.
Spoken like someone who reads the proxy statements for fun. But the real corporate theater here is how Paramount Skydance even won this Warner Brothers Discovery bid.
Right. Because someone else blinked.
More like sprinted out of the room. Netflix abruptly pulled out of the running right at the finish line.
Wait, really? Netflix was actually in the data room? I saw the rumors, but I assumed that was just bankers leaking names to create FOMO. Why on earth would Netflix want all that linear television baggage?
Because of the IP, Maya, think about it. Imagine the entire Warner Brothers catalog fully integrated into the Netflix algorithm. They were absolutely serious about it. It is the ultimate content moat.
Oh, come on. Netflix does not need a moat made of dying cable networks. They were kicking the tires to force Skydance to overpay. It is classic deal friction. Show up, make the other guy sweat, and drop out.
You always assume everyone is playing four-dimensional chess. I think Netflix actually ran the math on integrating the studios and just got spooked by the antitrust risk. If Paramount and Warner is getting this much regulatory heat, Netflix buying Warner would have caused the FTC to spontaneously combust.
Okay, fair point on the FTC. The regulatory road for media giants is just a nightmare right now, which actually makes me wonder how other mega deals are going to fare this week.
Oh, you mean like a certain $44.8 billion food merger?
Exactly. Tomorrow we are watching the early regulatory dockets for the Unilever and McCormick tie-up. If you think media antitrust is spicy, wait until the government starts looking at who controls the global supply of garlic powder. Tomorrow's radar.
I'm already refreshing the regulatory dockets for tomorrow. We should see the early antitrust filings on that $44.8 billion Unilever and McCormick tie-up.
You are looking at the wrong filings. The actual structural drama tomorrow is the Nuveen fund consolidation. NOM, NXJ, and NQP officially rolling up into NMZ.
Maya, literally nobody outside of municipal bond nerds cares about a closed-end fund merger. Unilever is buying the entire spice aisle.
Munis pay the bills. But fine, if you want scale, look at the Pharma dry powder BMO just flagged. Novartis is sitting on $53 billion in deal capacity. AbbVie has over $33 billion.
And they are absolutely going to spend it. The Q1 Pharma binge is just getting started.
I highly doubt it. They are going to sit on that cash. Have you seen the antitrust heat Paramount and Warner Brothers are taking? Regulators are out for blood right now.
Right, but David Zaslav is still reportedly in line for a massive payout, even if regulators kill the media deal.
Death, taxes, and executive golden parachutes. We will tear into the footnotes on that exact payout tomorrow.